Hello and welcome to Victory Points. I'm Jake Michels.
And I'm Becca Scott.
This is a podcast about people who love tabletop games, interviewing people who love tabletop games about the tabletop games they love. Hi, Becca.
Oh, hi, Jake.
You
nailed
okay?
it. You nailed it.
Thanks.
Am I ever okay? No.
Oh, no. Well, today you're going to be great because we have a guest who's awesome. His name is David Guthrie.
There's a theater named after him.
It is. That's not factually true, but we're going to edit the Wikipedia entry before the end of this podcast. He's an actor, a gamer, and a Canadian. He's on the show today because he recently completed a personal challenge of playing the top 100 board games on Board Game Geek in 100 days.
Woohoo!
That's
what an accomplishment.
Insane. Welcome to the show, David.
Thank you.
Did I hear you're a Canadian?
I am from Canada land.
I thought that was a typo.
You thought it was comedian?
Yeah, It makes sense in this list in Los Angeles. Thank goodness. So sick of comedians. Ready for Canadian.
We need more Canadians.
Who wants to talk to comedians, really? Nobody.
I would host a show that's just a stand-up of all comedians funny and not, or Canadians.
Non-funny comedians? I want to watch that.
I just want to watch Canadians just say polite things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just be sorry about everything.
Are you one of those polite Canadians?
I do, when I bump into somebody or when someone bumps into me, I do apologize to them. That's a very Canadian thing.
Yeah.
So I do that. I don't know. Do you guys do that?
Well, here's the thing about me and apologizing. I don't do it because of an Amy Schumer sketch about women who apologize too much. Great sketch. Look it up. And I realized I should never apologize again.
Ever?
Yeah. Well, when I do something genuinely wrong, if I bump into someone, I say thank you. I did that.
Wow.
Someone moved out of my way in an aisle the other day, and I turned to them and I said thank you. Because if I were to say sorry, like what am I apologizing for? I didn't do anything wrong. And if I hear another woman apologize, I correct her.
That's actually a really good point. Someone told me once that thanking somebody, like if you're late for something, instead of saying, sorry, I'm late, if you say, thank you for waiting for me, that's just a better way to approach dealing with people because it's just less, I don't know what the point of it is, but it's just kind of like, it's just
I would think, wow,
ingratiating yourself.
David is such a grateful person instead of, God, he's always late and apologizing.
See, that's the thing is like when it's a resource that you have like in a relationship with a person, you don't want to give that up too much. But what if it's a stranger though? So if you bump into someone in the grocery store, you're not losing anything by saying sorry if you were confused about whose fault it was, because maybe it was your fault unassumingly, right?
Well, the truth is I say, excuse me. I don't say sorry because I have removed it from my... No, I did say thank you and someone moved out of my way. Like they leaned back slightly as I was coming through.
I'm going to start running into you more. See what happens.
We're just going to be like...
Just start body checking you.
Yeah, it'll be our fun thing where I'll just start wearing more and more padded clothing.
And thanking me every time I hit you. Thank you.
like a grateful running back or something like that.
This sounds like a fun game, actually.
I'm excited to play.
More big games and dex games, knock your friends over physically.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you, the board game. There we go.
I like it.
Yeah, it's update from Sorry the board game, basically.
Yeah. Fuck Sorry the board game.
Was that on the top 100, by the way?
It was not. No.
So you did this incredible feat. I woke up this morning thinking about how we were going to come here, and I was just like, I could never be this accomplished of a person. 100 board games in 100 days. I was like, oh, well, I could play 52 in a year, easy. Wait, hold on. That's way different. That's a much smaller percentage. So, first question, how difficult was this process?
Honestly, it was fucking hard.
You can't curse, only I can curse on this show.
It was fudging hard.
You can't cuss.
I like fudge. I don't know. It was very hard. It was harder than I ever thought it was going to be because otherwise I wouldn't have done it. I mean, I don't like doing things that hard.
When you say hard in terms of the time management?
Yeah, the logistics of this thing were a nightmare. I just thought it was going to be me playing. And the vision in my head of me playing 100 board games in 100 days was just like, la-di-da, like it's like sun shining. I'm like rolling dice with my friends and like everyone's happy and I'm just like playing games and I'm playing in a field
with no wind,
drinking a margarita. Yeah, no wind. Yeah,
except the wind only breezes your hair and not the table and cards.
Exactly. Yes, the ultimate outdoor gaming experience. did not have any of that when I played this challenge.
Instead, it was a bleak hellscape where you were trying to find as many friends as possible to get together at a time where you could fit this 3-hour game into their life.
Because this isn't just a commitment for you. This is a commitment for the people that have to play with you most often. You did have one ultimate goal at the end of this. What was that?
The goal, well, my ultimate goal was to play every game on the top 100 list by the time the 100 days expired. And then also still be in a relationship by the time they start.
There it is. That's what I was looking for. Not lose the girlfriend.
2 criteria. Not going to say which one was more important, but those are my 2 goals.
Sure. Well, another logistics question. So the top 100 is on BoardGameGeek.com.
Correct.
New logo.
When we say the top 100, is it the hotness list? Because that's like what's a pulse thing, right? Or is it top 100 ranked of all time?
If you click on board games, they've ranked them from 1 to 10,000 or whatever, and so the top 100 on the site were the ones I was trying to play.
So did that list change, or did you screenshot it and said, even if it changes, this is the list I'm going with?
So that would require a lot more forethought that I had doing this, but no, I actually did. Just because I was starting an Instagram at the same time, I did one of my posts. I just posted like what the top 100 list was. So that was good because it was a screenshot because it did change as I started playing, which I actually didn't predict that because I thought in 100 days, this list isn't going to change in 100 days. Like,
you don't know the fast-paced world of board games.
I had no idea what I was getting into. So yeah, a few games popped onto the list while I was playing. But I just kind of went with it. I decided that if the game, I ultimately went with, if the game was on the list at the time that I played it, then I counted that as I played the top.
Okay, so you're not scrutinizing over. You're playing 100 games. You're not going to cry at night if the list changed.
No, I was just kind of rolling with it. Yeah.
How do you think that people do with ranking these games? Do you feel that is a good representative of the top games, or did you find that like there's way too many worker placements in this list?
Yeah, the second thing, for sure. I also didn't really know what I liked in a game before I started doing this. I had an idea but I hadn't really sat and thought about what games I really liked or why I liked a game. And then as I was playing through this list, which has a lot of like the Euro style worker placement games, I was like, okay, another worker to place. Here we go.
Well, that also has to do with the population of people on BGG who take the time to rank and review and rate. And,
and what they're into.
Yeah, which is a crunchier level of gamer. Crunchy is my favorite word to describe, something with a lot of Euro-style aspects to it. And so that's what you learned. What did you learn about your preferences?
Well, I learned I don't like those games as much.
Ouch.
I realized that I like games with a lot of player interaction, like games where you're like negotiating with people or even, backstabbing them or working with them or just in conflict with them. And then so I guess a lot of these worker placement games, well, some of them I really enjoyed and I loved. A lot of them just felt like I was playing, solitaire for 3 hours, and I would look up and go, oh, look what you did after 3 hours. Look what I did. And let's count the points and see who won. So it's fun. I don't mind doing that. But for me, the point of sitting down to play with people is because I want to destroy you or work with you. Or
I want to destroy you where you watch me destroy you.
Yeah.
Have an experience with those people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and to your point about a lot of those games being up at the top of the list because of the people that review too, is a lot of those games built upon other games on the list in a slightly better or different way. And so you see some repetition of that. And I'm wondering actually, because of how you had to cram some of those games in, if you played some of them back to back and maybe your distaste for them only grew more because you had to sit through 12 hours of back-to-back worker placement games that aren't that different.
Right. Well, and even to the extent that Agricola is on the list twice, which is actually
different versions or the same
Yeah, it's
version?
the revised version or the original, but the revised version is only a few cards different. So
and that's a haul of a game.
I was told in a YouTube comment, it's Agricola.
Yeah, I started out on the challenge calling it Agricola, and then by the end of it, I was like, oh, I guess that's not how
I think I used to call it Agricola too.
Yeah.
Maybe
it's based on a Latin word.
Oh.
For farmer?
That makes sense.
I got to reread this
Agriculture?
YouTube comment.
Yeah. That also makes sense.
And shout out who made it. But another logistic. Where did you get your hands on all these games?
Oh, yeah.
Did you buy every single one, and are you in debt now?
I did not buy. I bought 2 games for this challenge.
Oh, impressive.
And the rest, this is part of the amazing thing about doing this, is I met so many people doing this, because I quickly realized after a few days that I'd exhausted my friends for playing games, because my friends like games, but I quickly realized that this was going to be a lot of games that they weren't going to want to play.
You need new friends. Yeah.
Yeah. So exactly. And someone told me while I was playing this that it's easier to make a gamer into a friend than a friend into a gamer. And I realized that was true literally after, it didn't take long. It was kind of sad. After 4 days, I played a couple of games with my friends, and I already felt like I was basically asking them for a favor.
Yeah.
And I can't do this for 3 months.
Yeah.
So I started a meetup group on the second week and started meeting tons of people, amazing people, tons of gamers. And then I started going to Game House Cafe, which is in Glendale.
Yeah, it's my hood.
Amongst other cafes. And I found out that there's a monthly pass to Game House that I didn't know existed.
They only tell special gamers about that.
Yeah. And
they haven't told me.
Oh, no. We'll have to bleep this part of the podcast.
Yeah, they don't advertise it. But then once I realized that existed, and they also gave me I went on Board Game Geek and found a list of like most of the cafes list what their collection is. So I started I created a spreadsheet. I have a whole crazy spreadsheet for
you
this.
did the logistics.
It was an insane. It was like honestly the hardest game of this 100 games was the game where I was like trying to plan out all the games.
Yeah,
that was like the 101st game, and that was very hard. But also kind of fun. It's kind of like I like that kind of a challenge, I guess. But to answer your question, I found a list of games from all the different cafes, and I started to like check off which games were where, and then I started making a list of the games I didn't have, and then I would ask around, and then people
when
on
you say
Instagram,
ask around, it was on social media,
on Instagram mostly.
Groups.
Yeah, I would just start posting about that, or people would ask me, and I would just say, hey, have you ever do you have War of the Ring? Because no one has that game. And then eventually enough people started messaging me, and I was like, okay, wrote their name down, and okay. Then after about day 20 or 30, I had almost all the games sourced. At least I knew where they were. And then I just
in the greater Los Angeles area.
Yeah, in LA. Yeah, yeah.
Some of them being people who Instagram messaged you and said, "Come to my house. I have this game."
Basically,
you can play.
Yeah.
Did anyone trap you in a dungeon and try and like keep you there?
No, thankfully.
Good.
On my meetup, one of my questions for my meetup group was, "Are you a psycho? Are you going to murder me?" And everyone said no.
So you vetted for that.
Yeah.
And it turns out people were honest.
There was a guy who said yes, frowny face, and like didn't message.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry I can't message you because you answered this question incorrectly.
Yeah, it was a very watertight test, but no, it was interesting, and that's the best part about doing this. I met so many people, and
that's really great.
And yeah, I went to weird places of the city I'd never been to before, and we went to San Bernardino, and there was an earthquake. We played Agricola. Well, the house was shaking.
Okay, I found, since you said it again, I wanted to give credit to the person who commented. Magister343 commented on the YouTube. It's Agricola. The O is short by nature and position, so the accent is on the antepenult.
Antepenult.
It's the Latin word for farmer. I remembered that correctly. Or more literally, field cultivator. It would not be the proper term for someone involved in vertical farming, fish farming, etc.
What vertical farming is? Why not?
I don't know what that is.
You don't know about vertical farming? It's about to save space.
I just do horizontal on my farm.
They have like skyscrapers that have plants on every level.
It's like the parking garage of farming.
Yeah.
I have heard of this because my husband loves to talk about this one thought experiment about a vertical pig farm where their shit feeds the tilapia in the base of the skyscraper, and there's apple trees that grow on the patios of each level of the skyscraper because pigs love apples.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thought.
That's your husband's thought experiment?
No, he saw it one time and he loves to tell this anecdote over and over.
You gotta get him on the show.
I mean, no. Then he'd find out all the things I say about him on this show.
That's funny.
What was your like biggest day of gaming? Like, so what was the one you went through the full marathon of like trying to get as many in one night or whatever?
Okay, so that happened a few times. Basically, I fell behind very early in this challenge because 100 days seems like a long time, and then you're shaking your head.
Every day sounds like way too much of anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only just over 3 months.
But when you're starting out, you're just like, oh, I can, like I can play a few games a day, and I'll it's Sunday, whatever. Like, I play games normally anyway, but I just assumed it would happen. And then I quickly fell behind where I was like 10 games behind or something. So 10 days behind. It was like day 10. And then
you played one game?
And I was like day 10 I played. No, I guess it was, I don't know. When I just fell behind, and then I quickly realized that it's very hard to catch up because these games are so long, and they're like 3-hour games, and
you put off the long ones, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I started, my first thing was when I got really far behind, and then my girlfriend Emma, she said, who Jake knows,
and she's still your girlfriend, luckily.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we'll leave that to the end. We'll leave that surprise to the end.
Wait, how many days in are you? Oh, into the podcast.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll tell you at the end of our relationship.
Oh God.
So she was like, "Let's go to Game House and let's just knock off a bunch of the easy ones," because I was starting to get overwhelmed by the enormity of this. And so we played like Patchwork and Star Realms and 5 Tribes and
love it. Wait, no, hate it, love it. Pretty okay on it. Go on.
Other ones like
Santorini.
Oh yeah, Santorini. Yeah.
Love it.
That's in the top 100.
Not anymore, but it was when I played it.
Well,
back in the day.
That's easy one to get out.
It got replaced by another worker placement game.
Yeah, that game was kind of cool. Never played it in a game like that.
It's not a bad game. I'm just surprised it made it all the way up there.
It's very similar to TAC, based on.
Oh yeah, Santorini.
Yeah. Yeah, based on Santorini.
So where's I going with this? Yeah, so we played a bunch of the 2-player games and knocked off 5 that afternoon, and then I started to catch back up. And so that was one of them. And then that happened over the course of the 3 months because, life gets in the way. And then, sometimes I work freelance, so sometimes I'm working, and sometimes I'm not. So the days I wasn't working are easier to catch up. And then...
but then that day is spent gaming.
Yeah.
Because like even like these medium-sized games on the list are still like an hour set up and figuring out at least before you roll the first die.
And
right?
the learning the rules was definitely also one of the hardest parts. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'd get home from work, quickly cook dinner and go straight to Game House, play the game for like 3 hours, come home, and then I get home at midnight. And then I have to learn the rules for the game that I'm going to play the next day.
Oh my gosh, and that's the worst time to learn it.
Because board game rule videos became my lifesaver. I don't think
Did
I read.
Did I help?
Pardon?
Did I ever help?
I don't think you did any of the games that I was.
Good opportunity,
We're
David.
doing it
You just
wrong.
missed a great opportunity to compliment her.
Okay.
That's so true.
Well, you can leave now. The door's right there.
All right, thanks for being here, David. It was.
I love your show, but I didn't.
There it is.
I didn't use it for this challenge.
Well, to be fair, we actually cover a lot of newer stuff, and a lot of those are older games too.
Yeah, actually, anytime we get a chance to choose whatever we want, it's often an older Euro game.
Yeah, that's true.
So I watched a lot of Rado runs through and watch it played and basically fell asleep.
Love Rado.
I fell asleep to their voices quite often on this thing. So that was a weird way to get tucked into bed at night, listening to board game rules. It was very
interesting. Rodney makes sense. Rodney Smith of Watch It Played.
Yeah.
That is a lullaby of a voice right there.
Yeah.
Rado's a little amped, Like it seems like you have your YouTube set to 1.25. And that's just Rado.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, that was good for me. I was happy for that because I could watch it while I was doing something and just kind of listen to it in the background and then just learn the game. And I started to actually, this kind of brings back to a point you made earlier about games kind of like being similar. I started to pick up the games quite quickly. Like I would just, even when I sat down and people were teaching it, I'd see the iconography.
Yeah, I get the mechanic. Hold on, let me just win.
I think I get it. I've done this 5 times already. So so that was weird. Like the skill of learning a board game was something that I developed over.
Oh yeah. Not to flex or anything, but like no big deal.
Well, I'm sure you guys are
there's
great at this.
There's patterns
but...
you recognize, right? Like, I mean, we're moving pieces around different cards on boards. Like there's a finite amount of ways to do that depending on the theme. So you start to see the similarities quite easy.
You see the fundamental mechanic underneath, and then you start to recognize like the icons that sort of relate to that, and it's you start to intuit the game a bit.
The difficulty comes when there's always just these exceptions to the rules that are only listed like in the rule book or something like that. Because a game with good rules doesn't always have a good rule book.
So
True.
the best rule book reader I've ever met is this gentleman right here, Jake Michels. Do you consider yourself in that class now? Can you read a rule book more quickly, or because you opt for watching a video, it's the skill that you learned was intuiting rules when someone is reading or explaining it to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I started out being the guy always that would read the rule book in my gaming circle of people, and I always was the person to teach the game. But then when this 100 games thing happened, I never had time to learn the game and teach it to people. I was just bringing people that knew the game. So all these people, I found all these amazing people who are so good at teaching games. Like Ruel, I know you guys know Ruel. Like I played TI4 with him amongst some other games, and he taught a bunch of them to me, and he's stellar at that.
Ruel Gaviola, he listens to this podcast. Hey, Ruel.
What's up, Ruel?
And he also blogs about gaming, so make sure that you find Ruel. You know, he's got a username.
He's got a name. So he amongst other people were so good at teaching the games that I didn't read any rule books during this thing, so I wouldn't say I'm any better at reading a rule book now.
Okay, not a skill that you gained, but the skill you gained was intuiting.
Yeah, I think just learning a game fast.
Did you win many of these games?
I won a fair amount, actually, but not. I was playing against a lot of people that knew the game so well, so sometimes I got destroyed. Some people were like experts at the game, and I was just happy to have played it, to be honest. That I wasn't trying to win every game.
I am on your Instagram, and I just noticed there is a winners tab, and you have made a boomerang of every winner that is very entertaining to look at.
Yeah, people don't. I like celebrating wins, and I feel in board games sometimes people are so just sort of play it down. And when I was doing that, I was like, no, just celebrate for 5 seconds.
It's what you spent 6 hours prepping
just be happy you get to it.
Yeah,
I don't care. It's not rubbing it in my face. I'm happy you won. Just like,
should all be
That's an
applauding
interesting
that
idea. I want to talk a little bit more about the ethics of celebrating a win when we come right back. Welcome back to Victory Points. I'm Becca Scott.
Yes, you are.
That's Jake Michels.
Yes, I am.
And our guest today is David Guthrie, the player of 100 board games in 100 days. And we were talking about whether or not it's okay to celebrate a win. I think there's a lot that goes into it, and it depends on the type of game, how much one may celebrate said win, and how butthurt opponents are. Would you agree?
I would agree. I'm curious to know how you guys go about celebrating.
Ruthlessly.
No, you mean you rub it in?
I talk about it a lot. I used to rub it in. Now I say, oh, well, I won, moving on. Or if someone else wins, I celebrate that heartily.
Yes, I think that's my favorite part is celebrating another person's win, is to like lead the applause a little bit, and also like really congratulate them in a good way, because it kind of makes your loss feel better too. Of like, great job, David, you really like crushed me there. Right. That was fun.
It's like when you play soccer or whatever, and you shake everyone's hand at the end of the game. It's like I don't think when we played TI4 together, everyone shook everyone's hand after that, which that's the only time I've ever had that.
That's called diplomacy.
Well, that game also was quite like you and I were pretty neck and neck at the end. So I felt like we made a bond through our adversarial nature because we were just right at the finish line with each other.
Yes, this is the infamous Gen Cant that you all attended.
Yeah, that was the
non-board game convention.
And a good example of how your network expanded, because Ruel brought you to that, and you met him through your challenge, as a matter of fact.
At Ruel Gaviola on Twitter.
Thank you.
Where's Ruel? Bring him on. Bring him out.
Get it. All right, Ruel's behind the curtain.
Oh, there he is.
Ruel's on like episode 4.
Yeah, so go check it out.
But
like, yeah, I guess with people winning, I definitely want to make sure that like we all know that was part of our goal is someone's gonna win. Like, I mean, everybody gets really like, or a lot of new gamers, I should say, that are really about the competition, really feel like if they didn't win, they didn't have a good time. And it's like, no, you did have a good time. You're just forgetting that right now.
Jake, I think you're thinking about it the wrong way.
Oh.
Just because I started life doesn't mean I'm ready to die. Just because I decided to play this game doesn't mean I'm ready for someone else to win.
Oh, you're not prepared for that possibility?
No.
Okay.
I mean, that brings a point about, I mean, I think celebrating is obviously linked with sore losery.
Yes.
Ness, if that's a word.
Oh.
Are you breaking that stigma with your celebratory Instagram boomerangs?
Well, I guess so. I guess I'm trying to, because I think sometimes I don't celebrate in a scenario where I feel like someone is a bad loser, and I'm like, oh, I just have to sort of like be just very like
be cool,
calm about this win. But
a sad loser is projecting a lot of negative energy, whereas a great winner is usually positive energy. Now, a winner that's rubbing it in the loser's face is a different story,
right? And so that's a fine line you walk.
Yelling in your face is not acceptable. I win in your face.
Yeah,
that's okay. I'm writing this down in my notes.
Yeah, so you're not supposed to give them a noogie when you win, right? No.
Do you give your girlfriend noogies?
She gives them to him.
I actually never said the word noogie in a long time.
Yeah, I know. It did not roll off the tongue.
It was like, what is this word when you like rub someone's head with your knuckle? It's like, oh yeah, it's a noogie.
Must they be in a headlock for it to be a true noogie?
I think so, yeah. Otherwise, it's just
a
like
free hand noogie? No, there's no such thing.
That's just like a knock, head knock.
How do you do that?
Get off my head.
Yeah, you need to hold the head so you can get the rotation of the noogie.
It's gotta really feel
and you have
violent,
to make some sort of like weird voice, like.
You're a little winner.
Let's talk about expectations versus reality. Was there any particular games that you were like jacked up to play and then turns out, oh, that wasn't what I was expecting? Or vice versa? Was there anything you were like, oh, here we go, and then you had a great time?
I think the easier answer is the ones that I was that were unexpectedly good.
Yes.
Because I was tentative about certain games going in. Mostly the really long ones, like TI.
Mm-hmm.
Twilight Imperium 4th Edition was something you didn't want to play?
No, I didn't want to play that at all. I just thought it looked very long and arduous.
Well, and to be clear, isn't the 3rd edition on the list too?
Yeah,
Did you play both?
I played both. I played
oh my gosh.
TI4 first. In my idealized version of this challenge, I would have played everything in the right order, and I would have played TI3 and experienced the evolution of a board game development. But instead, I just played TI4 because it was there and I played it. And then near the end, I was like, shit, I have to play TI3 now. And then it was actually kind of interesting because then I realized how much better TI4 is, I think, because I played it first.
Mm-hmm.
Explain the differences, because I've never played TI3. I'm just a
Jake wants to answer this question.
No, I know I can't answer this question because I haven't played it, but I know through enough hearsay and like kind of the basics of it. But you could speak to it.
I can give it in one. I think in one example is so for those people that haven't played TI, is there anyone that hasn't played TI4 that's listening to this?
Absolutely. I find that many hardcore gamers are like, yeah, it's on my list. How do you get six people to play for 8 hours having not played before?
Right. Yeah. So again, that was, I guess, that is part of the stigma, because that's one of the reasons I'd never played it. But I played it for the first time with 3 people, and it was fun. But the difference though, so there are these cards you pick called the strategy cards at the beginning of the round, and they're the cards that give you like an action. You can do that round, and that your opponents can then mirror a version of that strategy. I'm not explaining this very well.
You're right.
So basically, there's these 8 strategy cards, and that kind of dictates the main action you're going to do that round.
But what's great about the game is that other people are involved in your turn, because when you do your big action, that you kind of, it's draft style. So if someone takes that strategy card that you wanted, you can kind of do a lesser version of it when they do their action. So you have to be paying attention and waiting for their turn. But you're also like, oh, I wanted that one.
Right. And that's what's great about that game is the interaction, because you're constantly engaged. But the difference
one of your things you've learned is a preference in gaming.
Yes, that's true. And playing that game definitely helped me realize that. But I would say the difference for TI3 is that one of those cards in TI3 just gives you 2 points. Like straight out by taking that card.
Nonsense.
Yes. Which
2
is crazy.
points is a lot. 10 points wins you the game.
I know.
Right?
So we all know how hard points are so hard to come by in TI. And so my friend who taught us, he knew the game well, and all the rest of us had never played TI3 before. And so the first 2 rounds, before we even realized what happened, he had taken it twice. And we had 4 points lead on us. And
when everyone else had 0.
We had 0, and we couldn't recover from that. And he was just laughing at us, basically. And
so that's why you play TI4.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
TI4 even kind of has a little bit of that problem too, because every time I've taught people, I've always been like trying to remind them as I'm climbing up the score scale, the army and the fleets don't matter.
Right.
What matters is the points.
And the first time I played, I still accumulated the most gigantic army I possibly could because it was satisfying.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
so sad. You even said that when we played, and also everyone else at the table still was building a big army.
Did I say it when we played? Yeah, that's the thing. Is like we just forget. That's the only objective is because we want more ships.
I'm playing Risk in my mind, and I am winning.
So the Imperial card, which is the card that scores those points, right, in the 3rd edition. So it got drafted. It still actually technically scores 2 points in 4th, but there's a lot of conditions that must be met in those ways.
Right, and
one holding the capital planet, which is Michels Rex.
I'm sorry, what'd you call it? Michels Rex. Thank you.
Yes.
Nice, that's a good name.
Except.
How many times have you won?
Fuck you.
Ask me how many times I've lost TI for.
I played 3 times and you won 3 times.
No, I didn't. Did I really?
Yeah.
No, James won one of those.
Yeah, same thing.
How many times?
I'm sorry, tall guy with glasses won.
How many times have you lost?
0.
Oh, flawless
I'm gonna retire.
victory.
I'm gonna retire now. I played twice, won twice. Complete fluke both times.
I stole your thunder on that. I'm sorry.
So, any other like crazy expectations that were dashed?
Yeah. So I did not expect to like that game. I thought it was gonna be too long. I still think it is a little long, to be honest. I feel like when I play it, I feel like we could scrunch this down into 3 or 4 hours and not 6 hours.
You can, and actually, Ruel says he's gotten through a few games in under 6 before, which is impressive. But
Impossible.
I think
what about the sandwich break?
Oh, we had
the sandwich break.
Literally had a sandwich break.
Yeah,
there's always a sandwich break. I know.
It's always a little too late. We're all grumpy in round 5, and we should have had it in round 4. But
you got to time the sandwich break.
Unexpected. So similar games like that, like in Star Wars Imperial Assault, I thought was going to be like a long game, and I actually realized. I guess the thing I realized, I actually don't mind long games. Doesn't bother me.
You were worried about the slog, and the slog wasn't the issue.
Yeah,
there's a reason it's on the list.
Right.
It's immersive. You forget that time's flying.
That's so true. Yeah, and I guess if the game is good, it doesn't matter how long it is. True. Which is why I want to try Diplomacy.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Everyone I've talked to, no one's ever finished that game. They always say the same thing. We played it for 8 hours and then we all stopped. But it sounds fun. I mean, the idea of it to me sounds fun.
Yes, my 2 experiences, one of them never really got past the first game, and the one not got past the 4th session of it. Yeah, so yeah, I get that problem. That's not actually a game that's even. Does that even exist as like a board game now? Because you can pretty much just do it with pen and paper, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's even. I mean, I don't even know if it's on Board Game Geek as a game because it's not even there's no board.
For those of you that don't know, like how do you describe Diplomacy? It's like pretty much like a secret move order game, right? With a little bit of negotiation and definitely a lot of the treachery.
Yeah, it's like a war-based game where everyone's playing a different country, and then basically the turns are you go into a room and you have 15 minutes to talk to the other players and make deals with them. And then when you all reconvene at the table,
so it's model you in the game.
I guess I've never played
unlike that, but a little more war than actual diplomacy. Well, I mean diplomacy, but less. UN, you're trying to solve problems, whereas these guys are trying to solve it by killing each other.
Yeah, and you support, and like it's basically you say you're going to support somebody, and then you go back and you say you're going to support everybody, and then you go back to the table and you only support one person. And you basically backstab everybody else, and then it's all revealed by the moves that you write down this weird code apparently on a piece of paper, and you all hand it in.
Which dictates your movement and like where your armies are and on a turn. It's a European-based map, as I recall, right?
So yeah, Western Europe or something.
What's really fascinating too about it is like you can't support everybody, and you also know that you're not. Someone's going to be lying to you. Much like Game of Thrones, for instance, you know you're going to be backstabbed. So now it's just a matter of like mitigating that, I guess.
I love that in games. I love backstabbery in games. Some people cannot handle that. And
big fan over here. But I find those games, it depends on the level of backstab. If people, I don't know, it can cause real grudges sometimes. I think a game needs to balance how grudge-inducing it is to lie to your friends with like their understanding that you were strategically playing the game the best you could.
I feel like with that game in particular, they give you enough license to do it because it's written into the rules a little bit, because you have the time to go and meet with people privately. It's implied that you're going to not be honest to somebody. Yeah. Because Who's going to go into a room and talk for 15 minutes about how they're going to murder each other? Like, you're going to make promises.
I'm going to kill you, Jake.
But I agree with you, Becca, because there are a lot of games that maybe have an element of potential backstabbing, or maybe even no element, that you've just like gone back on a deal because you could legally in the game, and that creates a lot of grudges for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, I like that personally because it adds that interesting dynamic to the game. And even like, so Game of Thrones is one example. It's on the 100 list. That was one of my favorite games going into this. And I had developed before I started playing.
Got it.
Sorry, I wouldn't put it at the top 10 anymore.
I believe it's called Game of Thrones, the game.
Yeah, the board game.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah. So I basically I don't mind backstabbing people, and I don't care if people backstab me. So I guess that's where I sit. So that's probably why I enjoy it, because I don't care if someone does it to me.
You're a cool, relaxed dude, though. Most of us are higher strong.
I don't care. Like if it's part of the game, if the rules say you are allowed to make a deal, and especially when it goes along with the flavor of the game, especially in something like Game of Thrones, it's so built into the sort of like theme of the game. But I noticed over many plays of that game with my friends that I started developing a reputation of, because I was backstabbing people. So I had to sort of mitigate that by playing a few games where I didn't backstab anybody, just to show my like honor or something.
Adjust the meta a little bit in your favor.
Sure.
So that was an interesting part of that game that where previous games are coming into play when you're playing a game. I think that's really interesting.
Your Instagram is gameylannister, but Lannister is the least strategic family to choose in that game, is it not?
I guess. I mean, that's not why I picked the name, but
what faction do you typically choose?
You just go random.
Oh wow.
Yeah, random.
I'm a fan of rando choosing.
Rando, yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I will say that like Stark feels like the one that's toughest.
Yeah.
Because you're just so spread out.
Stark
the walls right there.
Yeah.
Disagree. I mean, there may be wildlings, but at least you're safe from most other players
And they have
duking
cool
it out
action
in the
cards.
Southlands.
Yeah. I mean, it's very Canadian feeling up there, you know. So I feel akin to that.
Do you apologize to people when you backstab them?
Of course. Well, I usually cheers them and say like, "I love you."
Yeah, you do start out with yes. I would expect that from you.
I love you, and I'm also attacking you.
All right. Switching gears, big, epic, full table games is one thing. Legacy games are another genre that graces the top 100 list. Pandemic Legacy is what I'm thinking of, and I see that Season 2 recently made it to the top 100 as well as Season 1.
Yeah.
So did you play through both seasons of Pandemic Legacy, and what were your thoughts on them?
I did not play through both like all the way to the end. This was probably one of the most often questions I got when I was doing this. People were like, "Are you gonna play all of Pandemic Legacy?"
Okay.
People really wanted to know that, and my answer was, I'm gonna play it as much as I can play it until I feel that I understand the legacy aspect of it. But I'm not gonna play the whole thing. That adds another, 12, at least 12 games to the list. And I didn't play Gloomhaven all the way from beginning to end. That would take the entire 100 days to play that.
Kingdom Death Monster is also on there too, right?
Yeah, so
There's
all the
also a
campaign, the campaigny ones, I mean, again, the purist in me would have said you have to play all of them, but practically I play them as much as I would play the game, iterate through the evolution of it, getting the stickers out and putting them down and upgrading your dude and playing another version of it, and then you say, okay, I get it. I get the how this evolves over. I can imagine how this would be over the campaign of a game. Obviously, there's surprises I didn't get to see.
Yep.
So, I mean, but that wasn't my intent. I wasn't trying to fully evaluate every game.
What was the intent?
I don't know, actually. It came to me just one day, and I turned to Emma and I said, "Do you think this is a good idea if I play the top 100 games in 100 days?" And she said, she was in bed at the time, and she said, "No, but you should do it." And then she rolled over and went back to sleep.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Honey.
I was going to make a joke about you waking her up to ask this question, and that was true.
That's the way it was. And then I started the next day because I think I knew deep down that if I didn't, I would never do it.
Yes, you got to go for it when it happens.
Started. I had no idea how to do it. I just played Castles of Burgundy because I had it in my closet. And it was even hard to get someone to play the first game with. Like, I was like, "Emma, do you want to play this with me?" She's like, "I don't really want to play right now." And I was like, "Oh my God, what have I got myself into?"
Your first attempt. She's like, "No."
Yeah. So, no, I
I want to go through some of those games like a little bit more bullet speed. Like let's talk about some of them. Like, how is Castles of Burgundy? I love that game.
I put that game in the middle for me.
Sure.
It's just a lot of dice rolling and like I'm not a big fan of the points-ality ones because the exciting part of the game is the counting the point. Well, actually, not. I guess those are ones you count points as you go, but there's never any like highs and lows. I like games with big highs or big lows.
Yeah, Castles is nice because you do count some of them along the way, but then there's also a big burst at the ending as you count all of what you've built.
Right.
But yeah, it is definitely one of those kind of solitaire separate things. The only difference you have is what you take that they can't.
And I don't mind those. I mean, those are kind of nice for Sunday afternoon. You're just drinking a beer or whatever, and you're just kind of like relaxed and you're just, rolling dice and just hanging out.
Speaking of drinking beer, was there either a game that you played that you were either a little too drunk or too sleepy to play, or like you didn't really get the true experience for? Maybe?
Yeah, a lot of them. Caverna, that game.
Yeah.
So I went out the night before to some event. I can't remember what it was. My friends took me to, and it was an open bar, and they were like pouring all these margaritas.
Yeah.
And I just got very drunk, and then I woke up the next morning, and I was like, "Oh shit, I have to go play Caverna." And then I went, and I think I was still intoxicated when I sat down.
No.
And it was a meetup, so I was meeting people for the first time.
Oh no!
And I was like, guys,
smelling like tequila.
I was like, I have to apologize. I think I'm still drunk. I'm sorry. And then
you led with that. That's great.
I was just like, I gotta complete.
You're so honest, David.
And then we played and I lost, but at least I played. I literally was like, okay, I'm gonna focus on one thing, just like collect donkeys or whatever it was.
I mean, admitting that you're hungover is great. Admitting that you're still drunk is very brave, and I appreciate
an alcoholic
that.
level
I appreciate
of introduction.
That's great.
That's the times I say I am hungover, meaning I'm still drunk, but I'm not going to tell people that I drunk that much. All right, what about Great Western Trail?
Oh, yeah.
That was really fun. I like that game. Yeah.
Oh, wait, she's a crunchy one.
Yeah, it's crunchy, but...
And you didn't watch my video for this?
No. Yeah, I mean, I did. I watched it.
No, that's one that I chose to do because it's set. It goes through Missouri. And
are you from Missouri?
Oh,
yeah. Cool.
Cattle ranchers for the win.
That's a wonderfully complex game in terms of all the many things you can do to get points as a frontiers person. Is that what you are in that game?
Frontiers
yes,
person.
I am a frontiers person.
Yeah.
I mean, I really enjoyed it, and you can go to Montreal in that game. I think. Right?
Yes, you can. There's a train stop.
So there you go.
Okay, so this is a crunchy Euro game, a little points-ality. Was there enough interaction for you? Because it's number 10 currently on BGG.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I wouldn't rank it that high for me, but I like I don't know. It's weird. That's what I'm saying. Some games, even though, despite everything I just said, I still like them. I can't explain why.
Yeah, well, I was wondering.
They have flavor all their own.
I do like
thematic elements.
I do like theme and I like story. Anything that has a very story-driven thing, and even
makes you want to do a voice.
Exactly. Yeah. It makes me want to like buy a plot of land in the middle of desert.
Immersion is important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for
well,
sure.
cowboy, you can't come down this path anymore. It's almost a Roland move, but your movement is dictated by the types of cows you have, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that makes no sense.
No, it's the herd, right? Because it's about the fact that they might wander off while you're herding them.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
your progress is stymied.
It's also teaching you how to be a real frontiers person. So there's a bonus there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
life applicable skills.
And about the different types of cows. Yeah.
Name 3.
Gurney.
Mm-hmm.
That's the brown one.
I thought it was the black and white one.
All right, so good start.
Guernsey.
That's what I meant to say.
Got it right.
Yeah,
Guernsey.
Gurney is what you put a sick person in a hospital.
Right.
Or dead one.
I
guess that's
and then other cows.
Longhorn was one, maybe. I can't remember. That's the one.
Oh wow,
we're really good.
Welcome to Victory Points, the podcast where we try to remember types of cows.
We're so close.
I want to say like Jattlehorn.
Yeah, Jattlehorn. That was it. That's the third one.
No, that one's in Twilight Imperium. Actually, that's a faction you can play. All right. I see Scythe is up there, which is one that's so well regarded, as well as Terraforming Mars. Did these ones that are in the top 10 talked about constantly, did they live up to it? And is it all just a fog to you? It's like binging a TV show too fast where it's hard to really differentiate sometimes.
It's hard for me I can remember every game that I played, which is strange.
That's very impressive.
And everyone that I played with. I can't say that I can judge all of them fairly because of all the factors of sometimes it's just like learning curve to a game. but I find that my tastes are a bit reversed. I've tried to like Scythe. I've played it so many times now. I just don't.
Really?
I just can't get. I don't know what it is. I just can't get into it.
Area control with alien monster type minis and
mechs.
Yeah, it just feels like it's not the promise of the game. Maybe I have too much expectation for it.
Strong hype,
and it's not even hype in the sense of what I've read or heard about. It's a hype when I look at the game.
Oh,
it's like it's hyping me up to a thing that it's not. It's not delivering what it looks like it's promising when I look at the.
Do you feel that way?
Why does it feel like it's promising?
Kind of like maybe it's the combat thing. Maybe it's the fact that I get that the mechs are there to sort of like keep everybody on, in their position, and
it's not as much combat as it looks like.
Yes, yeah, exactly. The mechs are such a present in all of the art, and yet they are just merely there for most of the game. The times they attack are maybe once or twice per player.
And I feel like just getting them off and like getting them on the board is where you get 1 point. That's to me the purpose of them. So and then there's 16 ways to get points. So it just feels like there's just there. But I mean, people love that game, and I own it, and I'll bust it out and play it with people and teach it to them because I keep waiting for that moment where I'm gonna just love it. Maybe that'll happen. I don't know.
Did you feel that way about Terraforming Mars?
I also didn't like that game too.
Gosh.
Yeah.
What?
I have to confess, I played it.
This is the future.
For the first time yesterday. Never had played it before somehow. It never got on my table.
Talk us through. What is this game?
Terraforming Mars is a game where you play a corporation and you are trying to terraform Mars and make it more livable. You do that by doing 3 things. You increase the oxygen, you increase the temperature, and you provide water on the surface. It's a point salad game as well. There's a little bit more interaction in it in that one of the optional rules allows you to draft action cards as opposed to just drawing them. But it's a really fascinating game because there's a lot of different options to not only literally terraform Mars by putting plants on it, but also to add more technology and increase different resources, including money and steel and titanium. I don't know. The whole
Mars
thing is great.
More titanium.
I thought it was a blast, and I visually loved it. What was okay about it for you?
Yeah, why are you so wrong?
I know. What's wrong with it? Am I dead inside? Because that sounds amazing.
Not at all.
And I love space themed stuff. Yeah. I would literally go if someone offered me the chance to go colonize Mars, like actually in real life. I would consider it for sure. I would. So all of that speaks to me personally, but I just also don't like. I'm just terrible at engine building games.
It is an engine builder too.
I am so bad at engine building. I guess it's like a delayed gratification thing. I just want it now, and I just like this card is not good for me now. I don't care about this card, and then I always lose because I don't take the cards I should.
Well, turn optimization is a good skill to have, but sometimes it's a delayed thing when you're playing a game that requires engine building. Yeah. Often it is. That's interesting.
The thing that made it such a good engine builder to me is that the stack of cards from which you kind of the main cards of the game from which you start to build your engine and make your mechanisms go are all unique. And there's a huge stack of them. There's no repeats in there. And that's bananas to me. That there's you can't build the same engine as someone else because you can't get the same cards as someone else.
Whoa, that is some next level crafting, game crafting.
Yeah, it's very impressive.
Okay. Now, do you think burnout may be a factor? Because where did Terraforming Mars come in your 100 days?
I think it came actually with this game 50, I think. So probably
the middle of your burnout.
Yeah.
It's not nice and fresh and you're just getting into, which we found out that the beginning was tough too, but like your experience of the games wasn't at its freshest, nor was it with the end in sight particularly.
No, that's a great point. That's probably true. I'd play it again. I want to play all of them. Well, not all of them, but I want to play a bunch of them again.
Yeah.
Just to give them a fair shake.
Yes.
And also, like you said, actually, it's not that I didn't enjoy playing any of them. I enjoyed it, but it was felt like I was doing a thing.
Is there one that you were like, man, I should give that a second shot? Like, right now that you still are itching to play?
Well, yeah, I didn't have a great experience playing Through the Ages.
Mm-hmm. And that needs
But because I got, first of all, I was very tired. It was near the end. And also, I got destroyed. She was relentless. She just was. It was no mercy. Was this
a meetup person?
This was a meetup person. I played both Through the Ages with her. In the first meetup we went to, this guy came and he had a couple drinks before we played, and I was like, that's a bad idea for this game, and because he's not a big gamer either, so he just then had a hard time with the rules for the first 2 hours that we played.
That's a complex one.
And so I played that with her, and then I played the second one with her because she was there. She taught it to the two of us, and she's played it a lot, and she's really good at it. Jenna's her name, and she just was. I told her, I was like, don't go, like, no mercy. I don't care. Like, just play your game against me. And then I've never been beat down. I've never been beat down in a game as much as that. Like, her score thing was like laughing me. It was just like going out the door. I was just like, I'm like, I'll move one score. And she's like 90 ahead of me. And it's just like, it was a bit.
All right, that's on the list then.
Yeah, I'll definitely put that again.
Home turf advantage to Jenna.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, David, we're running out of time here, but I want to know if someone at home is, maybe they have an endeavor of their own, maybe not board game specific, maybe it's just, I have a challenge I could give myself. What is your advice? How do you maintain the endurance? Why didn't you give up? And what can you give people at home?
That's a good question. I actually hadn't thought about that. I would say, just do it, as like simple as and Nike slogan-y as that sounds. Just because starting is very hard sometimes, and just you can't predict how it's going to turn out. But through the act of doing a thing that's crazy challenging, people kind of just come to your rescue, and then it kind of opens up this door to worlds that you never expected. And to me, that was the takeaway from doing this, was all the people I met. I mean, it sounds like a Hallmark commercial, but honestly, the people I met who just came out of nowhere and wanted, like, they were cheering me on, and we were playing a game. And I remember one time I was playing this one of the 5 game days we did, and by game 4 I was like so tired, and then they're like, no, we need to play a 5th one because you have to finish this.
They did it for you.
I was like, whoa, holy shit, like you care about me finishing just as much as I do right now. And that was amazing. But yeah, so my advice to people is just, like, I don't know, don't be afraid to ask for help, and it's surprising how much people actually care about just helping people do a thing.
Good support systems, that's helpful, right?
Especially in gaming, I just found that, like, people are so nice in the board gaming world, and everyone was so supportive, and it just, maybe it's because it's like another game for them. It's just like the idea of doing this thing, and I don't know, it's kind of amazing.
That's beautiful. I saw the film version of this flash before my eyes. There is a perfect bow on the ending.
I like that you also just started it. Like, when Emma turned over and went out to sleep, you're like, I'm still going to do it. and the next
tomorrow.
Morning, tomorrow, exactly. You went and you did it. And I think the just do it thing is the most valid part of that, is like, get it started because you won't do it otherwise.
Mm-hmm. And like, also have public shaming if you don't do it.
That helps.
Yeah.
That helps.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Post about it, so then you have to follow through.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I hope this episode was helpful to people who may have a goal that they'd like to accomplish. I think you can do it. So start immediately tomorrow morning, maybe even today, depending on what time of day. Any final thoughts, Jake?
Thank you so much for doing this. I'm so glad that we got to talk about the 100 top board games in 100 days. That's so ambitious.
Yeah.
We haven't had anybody do something like that before.
No, not at all. Ruel has done similar things, blogging about a certain amount of games within a year.
At Ruel Gabby.
So now we know who to call next time we need the rules to a game. So you'll be on the short list, David. Thanks to everybody at home. Make sure that you spread the word about Victory Points and rate us and review us. We like that. Take care.
Bye.